And welcome in, everybody. Happy Sunday evening to you. We are now in the month of June. Always seems crazy to advance the next month, but especially June. I don't know what happened. It is suddenly summer around here, everybody. Hope you're enjoying your weekend. I know it's wrapping up. It's a summer-like weekend. A lot of us spent some time outside. We got rid of the rain on Saturday eventually, and then we had a pretty nice day today. Things are looking good, all right, in terms of long-term. We've warmed up. We have no frost risk. We're done with that. It's all summer days from here on out. So we've got a lot to cover in the broadcast. I have more maps packed into this broadcast than any other show I've had before, because I think there's a lot of information that I want you guys to have in terms of long-term. We're going to look kind of more long-term as we go throughout the month of June. A lot of you have, there's a lot of plans in June, right? There's a lot of outdoor weddings. There's a lot of graduation parties going on. So I want to focus on that. I want to kind of meet you guys where you are in terms of what you need to know weather-wise. So we're going to look at that. We're not just going to look at the next 7 days. We're going to go beyond that, okay? So lots to talk about there. I want to thank, obviously, all of our sponsors. So let me get to that. Let me pull up my map as well. And I also want to thank our early birds. We've got, boy, a battle for first place here for our first people on board. You guys are fast. I don't know how you do that. Maybe I ran my intro too long. I'm not sure, but we'll get to you in a second. Let's thank our sponsors first and foremost. I do want to thank our brand new sponsor for the month of June, FBI Buildings. If you haven't heard of them, what they do is they do work around pole barns. Pole barns are awesome. All right. They don't require all the work that barns require, or storage buildings, that are like sheds, stuff like that can leak and have problems. Pole barns are so structurally sound. They're just fantastic. And a lot of you probably have pole barns already on your property. If you need them renovated or fixed, or maybe you're looking for a new one, maybe you're looking to store stuff on your property and you want something sturdy that's going to last forever, pole barns are the way to go. And that's where FBI Buildings comes into play. They'll restore anyone's work. If you have an old pole barn that's falling apart, they'll come in and restore it and makes it structurally sound and make it brand new looking again. They also build new ones, and they've been doing it all over the Midwest for years. In fact, they were founded back in 1958, all right? And they've done over 20,000 farm shops, commercial businesses, residential buildings, and horse barns. They do work and they do it well. They've got a whole gallery on their webpage as well of their work, and it's just amazing. So if you're thinking about, getting a pole barn renovated or just looked at, you can get a free quote around it. Call 1-800-552-2981, or most of us like to use the web, so we can do that. It's fbibuildings.com. All right, for the latest on that. They can do all sorts of great work around that. Navigating the world of healthcare and Medicare and insurance and life insurance, all that stuff. It's messy. If you guys need any help around that, Minogue.life is the website to go to. Michael has been serving Northwest Indiana. He's local. He's an expert around those topics. He can get you exactly what you need in terms of, maybe you just have questions, or maybe you're wondering, do I have too much life insurance? Do I need to be paying for it when I'm 75? Whatever it happens to be, Michael's your man. It's Minogue.life is the place to go. Free consultation with him. He's just such a nice guy, and he's helping Northwest Indiana residents around such kind of a tricky topic there. PSA, those are our public service adjusters. They're all local licensed insured adjusters here in Northwest Indiana. Guys, if you have an insurance claim, whatever happens to be, and a few of you have reached out to me in the last 2 weeks and used them for insurance claims. Someone had basement flooding. Another one had some tree damage. Guys, if you have any damage or anything like that, instead of going to your insurance company first, go to publicserviceadjusting.com. What they will do is they'll come out like your insurance company would, but they'll be probably a lot quicker. They'll take pictures and they'll deal with everything with your insurance company, so you don't have to. They're kind of the go-between, kind of the middleman, right? And what they will do is get you more money than your insurance company will give you. All right, it's almost a guarantee. You can look at the results, 5-star reviews across the board for them. publicserviceadjusting.com. Ewing Mechanical Services, they just ended their May specials, but boy, they're coming in hot for June. If you need an AC tune-up, which a lot of us are going to need here over the next couple weeks, go to Ewing Mechanical Services. It's ewingmech.com. They come out, they'll do AC tune-ups. They've got specials on new air conditioners. If you need a new one, if you just need yours tuned up, there's that. But get that AC in working order, ewingmech.com. Tigerplumbing.net, place to go for our local plumbers. We love them. They come out for free. They don't charge trip charges like a lot of people do just to come out and tell you have a leaking pipe. If you have any spigots outdoor, maybe you've been watering the garden and your spigot's leaking, that's obviously something that they can handle pretty easily. It's tigerplumbing.net. You can now go on your mobile and you can schedule and see who's coming. It's fantastic. Finally, last but not least, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. They've been serving Northwest Indiana for decades. Local family-owned business. They've got brand new Jeeps out in the lot, ready to go. The doors come off. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of cool at the same time. They've got just a great line of vehicles there at Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and Valparaiso. All right, early birds. Linda wins today. Good evening to you, Linda. You're fast getting on that trigger finger. Jeff's with us this evening. Derek, doing well, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Teresa from Crown Point's with us tonight. Angel, hey, glad you're back on here, Angel. Mark's with us. Yes, Leon's Triathlon. Very good, Mark. I know that's such a big event. I did the forecasting for them a couple years ago. I don't know if you had your hand in that or not, but boy, it was great weather for that. We kind of threaded the needle between two storm systems, I'll show you in a second. Jill, I'm doing well. Thank you. Susan, hello. Thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. Debbie says happy June. Derek reminds us it's Drake Show season around here. It sure is. Absolutely. This is that time of year, Derek, where we get these big complexes of storms that can race on that jet stream and cause all sorts of wind damage for sure. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And then Susan says, thank you, Susan, for that feedback. She says, FBI did my dad's pole barn, did a great job, very professional. They certainly are. Guys, I don't work with people that aren't professional. I don't work with people that aren't local. These are all people that I would put my name behind. So, Susan, I appreciate that for sure. All right, let's dive into it, okay? We've got a lot to talk about, so I don't want to waste your time here. Big pattern right now across the plains. What you're seeing here, explosive thunderstorms, right? It's that time of year. We've got maximum instability across the U.S., right? We're heating things up daily, pretty much everywhere. We're now starting to tap into higher dew point air, so we've got a lot of humidity that we're tapping into now. Although we've been okay. We haven't had a lot of humidity. It's sticky, but we haven't had that real thick stuff quite yet. But we're getting there pretty quickly. And notice how these storms are just exploding. Big complex down towards Texas. We've had some tornadoes in the plains. With these big complexes of storms. Then you can see there's a little bit more movement to the system out towards the west. That movement is going to be a front that sweeps through here later this week. All of this comes into play that's out towards the west with our forecast here as we go throughout the week, all right? So let me dive into my next map. Let's get into it. I'm going to talk near term first, so let's get you out the door tomorrow and on Tuesday as well. Here's those thunderstorms out in the plains tonight. Notice tomorrow everything kind of fades, as you'd expect. We're still dry tomorrow morning, no problems whatsoever. Midday looks good as well. But then towards the afternoon, that same boundary where those storms are firing right now, that will move into the region. And we're expecting more storms to develop on some heat and humidity just out towards our west. These will likely go severe tomorrow. So you'll probably look at your phone or your weather app, whatever it happens to be, and you'll look out and you'll say, wow, there's some severe thunderstorm warnings out towards our west. Those are probably going to move in tomorrow evening, right? Well, here's the deal. Most of the models fade that activity, and most of the forcing with this, or the reason for that air to lift, is going to be stuck out towards our west. It really wanes in coverage and intensity as you get into the region. So these storms will likely fire to our west tomorrow afternoon, and then watch how they just kind of fade on the modeling, and we don't even get wet for some locations, right? I could see some of these getting in here, but in terms of severe threat, it's actually really low for us tomorrow, despite there's going to be severe weather just off towards our west. That's where the bulk of the dynamics are. But then here comes that wave I was talking about out towards the Pacific Northwest now. That starts to move into Iowa later tomorrow into Tuesday. And then we get this other system that's down towards the Gulf right now. That starts to pivot our way. All of that will bring us some rain and storm chances as we go into Tuesday. Not a guarantee. These will be scattered, but I think we've got a pretty good chance of some rain and some storms around here on Tuesday. If I were a betting person, I would say it's going to rain on Tuesday as that system goes by. And then our best chance of rain is actually going to be Tuesday night into Wednesday, especially Wednesday as we get that system that's out in the Pacific Northwest to shift east. All right. How about a severe threat for us locally? Well, here's what we're dealing with today. Let me show you that first. This is today's severe weather threat. It's all west of us. Notice, pretty big threat out in the plain states. Not a huge tornado risk with it, although there are some tornadoes out there compared to what we've seen these last couple severe events where we've had 10% chance, within a range. It's still high, but it's not quite as high. But notice it's all out in Nebraska and Kansas. And then the wind threat's high and the hail threat's high. This is hail season for them out there as well. But then tomorrow that kind of shifts east, but not quite here. We do have a threat. We're under a marginal threat. Here's your tornado threat. So there's not really one locally tomorrow, but there's one close. Northern Illinois got a little bit of a tornado threat. There's a little bit of shear involved with these. So we'll have to keep an eye on these storms tomorrow. That's pretty much going to be it, as we're going to be watching them. Could one get in here? It certainly could. Am I anticipating that? Not really. But we'll see. There's your damaging wind threat from some of the leftover storms, maybe after they're fading tomorrow evening. And then there's a hail threat with that as well. Okay, so that's tomorrow. And then as we advance into Wednesday, notice how the threat is off towards our west, but I could see that changing as well. I could see that shifting into our area on Wednesday. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. So in my mind, we've got to keep our eye on our storms tomorrow evening. Okay. They should be off towards our west. We need to keep an eye on Tuesday's storms because we'll be unstable. We'll have some humidity around as well. But then, Wednesday's really the day that everything kind of clears on out. And then we'll have to keep that final eye on the storms Wednesday. So 3 days of storms here. None of them are a guarantee, but, this time of year, you have to watch all of them. This is a map I haven't showed you in a while. This is a jet stream, all right? This is a reason why there's not a big severe weather outbreak with this as it moves in. Storms like to rely on the winds aloft. Okay, the winds up, when the jets fly, even lower than that as you get up into cloud level. There's wind ongoing up there, and that wind often dictates what kind of severe weather we get here down at the surface. All right. If there's not strong wind up there, thunderstorms tend to grow up like they do in the middle of the summer when they're really slow moving and you see them puff up. They tend to go up in the sky and then they kind of collapse themselves out because the rain comes down. When you have a stronger jet stream or stronger wind up above you, that storm can go up, but then the wind starts to push the top of that cloud out. Okay. And when that does that, the storm doesn't rain itself out. It can continue to go and continue to grow. And that's why jet stream is so important for severe weather versus when there's not a big jet stream or not a lot of wind up above you. You can get some strong storms just on instability, but you don't tend to get the big severe weather outbreaks with that. And so I want to take you through the jet stream here as we go through tonight, tomorrow. Notice how the strong jet is out towards the Pacific Northwest, and there's not much of really a jet stream here in the plains. Okay, there's some, all right, and there's some in northern Illinois, but there's not much here. And that's the reason why tomorrow night these storms are expected to fade, because they're going to be on the jet stream. But then once they get here, there's not much up above us versus what's happening in northern Illinois, which isn't much, but it's some. Okay, so that's the reason for tomorrow, just kind of the inside baseball in terms of meteorologically why we're not expecting big storms. Tuesday, there's not much of a severe threat because, again, there's not much of a jet stream. We'll have to keep an eye on those. But then Wednesday, that's why I'm a little bit more, I don't want to say concerned, but I think our threat's a little bit higher on Wednesday because we start to tap into some jet stream energy. And you can see this big jet streak here coming out of the plain states. Thankfully, there's not going to be a big storms of this back here, but there will be some here locally. And so we'll have to keep an eye on Wednesday. And what this jet will do as it sets up over us, you notice this pattern, if you recognize this is a strong jet stream flow out of the northwest. That is a cooling flow, all right? And what this is going to do is it's going to make us a little bit cooler as we get on into next weekend, as you'll see here in the forecast, okay? So let's talk rainfall, then we'll jump into long term. I want to go through the middle of June for you. Then we'll be done. I'll answer your questions. We'll get you on your way here tonight, okay? All right, so in terms of rainfall, this is kind of what the modeling showing. Here's tomorrow. Notice how there's rain off towards our west. The Euro keeps us dry. I could see something getting in here, but again, it depends on what thunderstorms develop and how they kind of transpire in our region. They would be fading, if anything, tomorrow evening, okay? And then Tuesday, there's your better chance of rain. Low pressure kind of moves through. Not a slam dunk. It'll be scattered. Not everyone gets wet, but we will see some rain and storms around here. And then Wednesday's our better chance. Right here, this is with the frontal boundary. It's not too well organized. I'm not expecting a huge squall line of storms or anything like that. I think it'll be scattered as it kind of moves through. But we've got a real good chance of rain on Wednesday. And I think we have to keep an eye on the storms. I know Storm Prediction Center is not quite there yet, but we could see a stronger storm or two on Wednesday. And then after Wednesday, remember that strong jet stream's plowing in here? That jet stream is going to keep us cool. And we're going to continue to cool down Thursday on into Friday. I mean, we're just northwest flow, okay? And that does not spell heat. If you like heat, we don't have it in the forecast. This will keep us nice and comfortable. In terms of the weekend, we look good as of right now. Friday looks pretty good. Saturday looks to start dry, and then what we're going to have to watch, there's going to be some kind of thunderstorm action coming out of the west. Does it get here in time for Saturday night? That's a big question, but Saturday, as of right now, during the day, looks dry. There's no big systems. By Sunday, we're starting to flirt a little bit more with the system as it moves in. You can see there's some kind of weak frontal boundary draped across the area. So any rain this weekend, as this next weekend, as of right now, looks to be brief. It doesn't look like we're going to have an all-day rain or any slow-moving system, but we're going to have to keep an eye on those thunderstorms and where they develop and why they develop. What kind of front are we going to have? All that will be sorted out in the days to come. But there's going to be some kind of system around this next weekend. Doesn't look to be a huge washout or anything like that, but there are some chances for some storms to fire along that frontal boundary. Okay. After that, here you go. This is the Climate Prediction Center's 6 to 10 day outlook for temperatures. And the blue doesn't mean bone chilling cold. It just means you have a really good chance of being below average. And I would totally agree with that. We're going below average across the eastern half of the country. This takes us through June 12th. Okay. And this is because of that jet stream pattern we have setting up. The heat is out west. The cooler air is out towards the east. That doesn't mean we're cold. It means we're comfortable. All right. We could be a lot worse, right? These are heights. Okay. This shows kind of where the heat is. And what I look for this time of year, we're going to go long term now. What I look for this time of year is that big dome of heat. Where does that dome of heat set up? Normally in June, where it sets up is down in the desert Southwest. Okay. June is Phoenix and Arizona and the desert Southwest, I can't say that, West's hottest time of the year. All right. You would think July, August, September would be their hottest time. It's not. It's June. June is when they're hot. And the reason why they're hot in June is because there's not really a monsoon season yet. Monsoon season's when they start to get the daily showers and storms out west. That's where they rely on a lot of their moisture outside of the winter seasons. Monsoon season starts going late June into July, and that rain and moisture and added humidity helps to cool them off just a little bit. It's still scorching hot, but their hottest month by far is June. So this is where I always look to see where that heat ridge develops, because it's that ridge of heat or that dome of heat that expands east as we go throughout the summer. Okay. And so here it is. It's kind of developing on the modeling. You could see right there, that's the heat ridge as it starts to develop over the Four Corners region in western Texas. But it doesn't get here because we're getting it kind of sheared off by that low pressure I showed you moving through in that jet stream. That jet stream is going to divide the real hot stuff from the cooler air off towards the north. There's basically a line here where it turns from kind of this brownish color into the reds and oranges. And that line is where the heat is versus not so hot. All right. And watch how this happens. This is next Friday. This is getting on into Saturday. This is next weekend. I mean, the heat's still here, but it's not making it. There's basically a wall that's going to keep us on the cooler side. There are some signs that changes maybe later this month. You can see some of the modeling bringing some of the warmth our way, but not a lot. That'd probably be 80s at best. And you notice the GFS, which goes kind of wacky once you get long term. It starts to expand that heat into the southern plains and the deep south. But overall, it's not here. It's not getting here. So the result that I want to show you, this is Phoenix. These are high temperatures in Phoenix through June 18th. All right. They're not a guarantee. It's just a forecast. But look at some of the numbers. I mean, this is Phoenix's hottest time of the year. I mean, they could be approaching 110 at times. They get a cold front that knocks them back down to 98, and then they're back up to 110. Cold front 99, back up to 107. I mean, that's how it works in Phoenix, right? But compare that to here. Look at our numbers. I mean, we're going to be warm to start the week, right? We've got the humidity around Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday till that front goes by. But then after that, I mean, we could be in the 60s Friday, Saturday. I mean, that's the cooler air we're talking about. Overnight lows, very comfortable. If any of you are camping, I know there's a lot of people that go camping this time of year. This is great sleeping weather in a tent. It really is. 50s for lows. And then we get a little warm front here at some point, but it doesn't warm us up much other than a day. And notice we're back perhaps in the middle of June with comfortable temperatures in the 60s and 70s. So if you're someone who loves 90s and upper 80s, which a lot of people do, I know that's good for a lot of us have our pools in right now, and we're kind of relying on Mother Nature to heat that up. You're going to either need the heater or the solar cover, whatever it happens to be, to get that pool warmer over the next 15 days or so, because there's no real heat in our forecast. I do not see this changing. I don't see a sudden wave of 90s in terms of meteorological forecasting. We can forecast temperature trends pretty well for the next 15 days. Storms and stuff like that, that's a little bit more fine-tuned. So that's kind of what we're dealing with, okay? So we'll see where we go from here. In terms of precip, obviously we're good. So we're sitting pretty in our ground right now. We've had a lot of rain. So crops will be good. In terms of heat, they'll be good based on temperatures as well. We're not dealing with any scorching heat that's going to fry your lawn or anything like that. Okay. So that's what I have for you this evening. Guys, as always, it's summer. I get it. I appreciate you guys all spending time with me tonight just to chat weather. So if you have any questions, go ahead, throw them in the chat right now. We'll answer those and we'll get you on your way here tonight. Okay. So I want to say hi to everyone that's saying hi. Hello. Let's see. Tom says, when do we decry global cooling? I tell you, Tom, I'm a big proponent of that. We'll see. We've had record amounts of snowfall in North America, well, the continent, 3 out of the last 4 years in fall. So I'm telling you, all this moisture's got to cool at some point to produce more snow. So we'll see. We'll see. But boy, it's going to be real comfortable here around here over the next 15 days. It really is. Angel, you're welcome for sure. Jason, thanks for being with us tonight. I appreciate you. Maxwell, it is. Yeah, starting Maxwell's referring to the ring of fire pattern. That's where you get that dome of heat. Maxwell, that's where it starts, is off of that dome of heat. It doesn't really make it into the plains until really this weekend, into next week. And that's when I think we can see that firing up. It's not that we're not in the ring of fire pattern right now. That's just a simple frontal boundary. But as we go into the weekend and next week, as that heat dome builds, that's when we'll start to tap into that ring of fire pattern as it looks right now, where those storms blow up and kind of rotate around that. And that is, Maxwell, I don't know about you, but that is my favorite pattern to forecast because it's so complicated. It's such a challenge, but it's so cool how storms can blow up at night in Minnesota, like huge storms with crazy lightning can blow up in Minnesota. And then you watch that complex, which will look like it's going into Lake Superior and going well north of us. And you watch that complex and it just curves down towards us. It's just crazy how that can happen for sure. Ethan, in terms of derecho setup, no, I don't see one with this system right now. We'd have to watch that ring of fire pattern for that, which would, perhaps be a week or so out. In the plain states, that's where we can get a better chance of that. Just because you've got a prolonged thermal boundary that storms can go on. Right now, storms are pretty much driven on daytime heating. Okay, they're tied to the front. They blow up along the front. And then once the daytime heating goes away, the storms kind of fade. That's what we're seeing right now with the pattern. But with that ring of fire pattern, you can get storms that blow up on the low level jet, which is at night. And then they're rolling for a day and a half, that same complex of storms. And that's where we can get that derecho set up for sure. And that happens in June and July a lot, for sure. Mark, I will try. I will try. You got a lot cut out ahead of you there, buddy. I'll try to make Fridays good. You deserve that break on Friday for sure. Yeah, Maxwell, it's crazy. It's just such a cool pattern, though. I really do enjoy it. So, all right, guys, looks like we got all the questions. So I do appreciate you joining me tonight. Again, we're on the radio side starting tomorrow morning. We've got a new beach report every single day on there as well. It's beach season. It's just wonderful. The water's still a little chilly, but you know what? The heat, once it gets here, eventually that water won't feel so chilly. So there's that. All right, you guys enjoy your Sunday evening. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. We'll talk to you coming up this week, okay? All right, thanks, guys.